Hello, welcome to another episode of Thoughts on Star Wars and Comics. Today I am going to review, or should I say, slightly look at and sort of pick apart the Vader Down miniseries from the Marvel Comics line. Now, this is the first crossover comic in the series. It crossed the Darth Vader book and the mainline Star Wars book. It was technically 6 issues long. I thought they might have included the standalone as its own, but no, it's 6 issues long. It covers, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 in the Darth Vader series and 2 in the mainline Star Wars series. So it wasn't like a massive crossover like most of the Marvels do, or most of the Marvel crossovers are like. That being said, although it's an interesting action story and there's a lot of cool visuals and stuff in it, looking back through it just recently, and it's the same problem with any of these, in between Star Wars comics they've been coming out with since they started this new expanded universe. You already know the outcome. You know what happens in Empire, which happens after most of these, right? So it kind of kills the suspense as to what's going to happen. So, going to the mainline one, basically, Vader found out from the Dr. Aphra character where Luke was. So he is going to travel to this rebel base. And when he gets to the rebel base, he is intercepted by the rebels. Essentially, they shoot him down after a long space battle after he kills a whole bunch of them in space. It's kind of cool visuals in this one. I'm not going to really knock the art. It's still got that weird Tracy sort of art in a lot of it, but and there are some like really frightening faces that are probably unintentionally frightening. I just noticed that. Oh, look, people dying in space. They just didn't float back into their spaceships. How weird is that? Anyway, so they get down, and Leia finds out. Leia and Han are... Where are they? Oh, they're with the Rebel fleet. And she finds out that Luke and Vader got shot down on this planet, so she's going to take the entire Rebel fleet, including this squished Millennium Falcon, to capture Vader. And so all the Rebels are there. Yeah, Luke's out on his own. Oh, by the way, Vader messaged Aphra, and he thought that she set him up, and that's why he was walking into this fleet of ships. Now, she was trying to decide whether she could go rescue him or just leave him to die, and she ultimately decides to go rescue him. So she gets thrown into the story too, but luckily not in her book. Her book hasn't started yet. This is like the only really cool scene from most of this comic, like really, really cool, where he says, they say you're surrounded, put down your, oh jeez, what am I trying to say here? Sorry. They say you're surrounded, lay down your weapons, right? And he says, I am surrounded, all I am surrounded by is fear and dead men. And that's how they kind of start it, and it's really like, oh, wow, it's going to be a cool Vader story, right? Well, it pretty much falls apart right away. Yeah, Vader, there's one of those frightening faces I was talking about. Vader kills pretty much all of the guys, and he deflects a bunch of blasters, and then when Han and Leia and the rest of the rebels get there, they send out their snow speeders and stuff like that, and Luke ends up getting shot down at the beginning of the other one there, like I said, and he's off on his own little adventure. Of course, Aphra has that protocol droid that looks like 3PO, but he's black, but they paint him gold so they can capture Luke. So Luke gets captured by Aphra. Oh man, what happens next? Right. There's a little bit of an artistic shift in this one. A little bit more high contrast. I kind of like the way this one looks above the other ones, but it's still kind of weird art. I like this little face-off between BT-1 and R2. He's got all the weapons. R2 just friggin' bolts as he just blasts them away. But anyway, there is some interesting stuff in this miniseries. But, like I said, you know exactly what's going to happen. I'll tell you exactly what happened. Aphra helps Vader out. Luke gets away with the remaining rebels, and Vader looks at him and says, like, "Oh, geez, I missed him again," or something like that. Anyway, but if you're into like cool little adventure stories in the Star Wars universe, I would try this one out. It's pretty cool. They have the bounty hunter Wookiee. I can't remember his name. Black something. He's a black Wookiee. He's in there too. It's kind of cool. He fights Chewbacca. They have a nice little fight in this one. Oh, well, this is where the series falls down. See, this is a character from the Darth Vader comic. He was one of these rivals that Palpatine and this scientist were building. I can't remember his name. Oh, I guess it's Carbon. I call him Grievous Akbar because he's Mon Calamari and he has a General Grievous body. But anyway, terrible characters. He fights Vader for a while. Vader beats him, obviously. Bunch of stuff with them showing it down. Neat action scenes. Still got the weird trace art. By the way, these covers are freaking awesome. Like, which one was it that I really liked? This one here. I would have this for a poster. This is a cool cover. It deserves. The covers are always really good on these Star Wars comics. I must say, like, the art is always fantastic on the covers. It's almost why I keep them around. But anyway, like I said, Luke and them get away, of course. Yeah, and Vader looking up at them, you know, like, oh, this isn't the end. Yeah, you know. Although I do like this part where Leia friggin' decks Aphra. That was funny. If you can see it. Trying to get this whole camera positioning thing done, but I've got a really tight space here. Anyway. Vader Down covers issue... issue 1 is called Vader Down because it's a standalone thing. Then we got Darth Vader number 14 and 13, 14, and 15 of Darth Vader, and it covers issue 13 and 14 of Star Wars. So now we can move on with the mainline Star Wars comics now that we're caught up with them, that I might deviate into some of the other series again, maybe finish up the Darth Vader one at some point. So that's all for today. I just wanted to give you a little oversight. Now, I seem really down on this, but it's not a terrible comic. I would give it a shot if you like the more action-packed, heavy Star Wars, which I do. So I can actually say that I enjoyed reading this when I first read it. Thought it was a good direction for the series. It was a little less boring than some of the stuff that they had been doing before. Up to this point, I think this was like 2015, they were still playing the series really safe. So they didn't want to expand out a lot and add a lot of new characters. They started with a couple, and they were pretty good at first. They were solid characters at the beginning. I would say check this one out if you're interested in some of the newer Star Wars books. It's a decent read. And we'll get into more, and it definitely gets a lot worse as it goes along. So I'll see you next time.